some technical things that happen. Wow, it feels so intimidating when you're right in front of people. That's all right. Tell me, why did you take an interest in this session? Yeah? What's your favorite film? Of all time? Pardon? The Parasite. It's a great movie. Again, a big social justice movie, right? Why people are driven in desperate economic situations to do what they do. Sometimes great things can be put on. You can even proclaim to be someone you're not, to get yourself forward in life from a good place. It's not that you're a bad person, you just want to move yourself forward. Yeah, it's a great movie. It's not my film, but I was the year that I was nominated for an Oscar that year with a different film, a documentary about an amazing Syrian woman who saved 50,000 young people's lives in an underground hospital in Syria. And that night we were nominated, we didn't win, but I was then invited to go to the Parasite party. I was also, funnily enough, 7 months pregnant at the time, which is my second one. And 7 months pregnant at the Oscar party, and I was crazy. And I met a lot of great people at that event, and we were talking about how that film has changed. Let's call it the Western nominations at the Oscars. Like it showed that films from across the world have the power to reach global audiences, and we didn't have to have a film in English, we didn't have to have a film from one community, only from Hollywood, So yeah, it was a great experience. I always find that a really tough question, so I know how hard it is to answer that question, but I'm probably going to say, I'm going to go with Green Mile, because... No, the Green Mile, not the Green Book. The Green Book is a great movie about the piano player. The Green Mile is about a African-American man who was put in prison falsely for rape and murder of 2 young girls in the South. Very big, great, wonderful actor. I can't remember his name right now. And I don't know, that movie moved me because I think people that are in prison are some of the people who receive the greatest injustice in the world. They are some of the greatest, most powerful people. And they are never given the chance to really be who they can be. And also so many people are falsely imprisoned, wrongly imprisoned, accused of things that they didn't do. And, they still manage to have that. I'm not sure I'm capable of it, but they still manage to have that kindness and that patience, and that's why that film is amazing. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I also think forgiveness, really. Without forgiveness, yeah.
Do you collaborate with youth organizations?
Sorry?
Do you collaborate with
Youth organizations, absolutely. We run campaigns for every movie. And all of our campaigns, we have stakeholder partners. And those stakeholder partners consist of course, we're trying to reach high-level politicians. We even have the minister, the culture minister of Nigeria, coming to one of our events here. Because we have a pavilion ourselves called Storytelling for Action. And yeah, we really are, without activists, without youth organizations, it is the future. Without youth, there is no future. And so, yeah, for me, it is the power in people, as you said on the last panel. There is nothing we can do if we are not united as people. And what I try to do is use film, because often people are very competitive in the world. Even youth activists and even NGOs who have good hearts. They're like, okay, I want to do this. I need financing for this. It is my campaign and my results. But with a film, you could get 20, 100, 200 organizations working together on one campaign. Sometimes the biggest problem in changing laws is that actually the people who are doing the good work are divided, because they have the same objective, but often they need to prove that they made the result in order together to achieve change, and then they don't collaborate. But film has this kind of weird magical power. When you say, do you want to come to a movie premiere and you want to attend, you want to speak about this issue in front of people, something happens and these organizations get very happy to collaborate and work together. It is only when you and NGOs and politicians and the private sector push them to come together in like a kind of a really powerful coalition. Coalition is a strong word. Maybe we use one against the other. I'm not going to pretend. That way change happens because everybody feels a little bit like, oh, I need to do this. But for us, youth is everything. Without youth engagement, and it actually really worries me when I look at some of the statistics that you have here today about disengagement of youth, in terms of activism. Because if we lose that, I think we will lose what I don't want to use violent language, but we will lose the climate war. Because without youth, there is no front line. I mean, that's just what I think. Yes.
Also
to different industries when it comes to climate change, as for example, as we do in entertainment. And I think film is a great power because it reaches out to a lot of people. Yeah. So with us as Kate shared, we are doing a lot of documentary all over Africa. We've already done in Botswana and Lesotho. So right now it's becoming more worldwide in a way. We're working with different organizations, different youth, so that we can make sure that our voices are heard and to analyze the different impacts in different regions. So I think it would be really powerful to have a collaboration with you. Probably you can help us something out.
I mean, the first thing that we need is very strong stories.
Yeah.
And I always say this, we get a lot of submissions of documentaries and think film. People have ideas, people want to get things out. But you need to reach people with a story that can go almost a universal narrative, right? And it's a very hard thing to achieve artistically. How do you achieve a film that artistically reaches millions of people in every continent? And so the first thing I would always say is that some of the work we're doing is actually working with some of the film funds and some streamers, to create labs where the creative narrative of your stories are being built. Because one thing film works on is independent feature films. Yeah, so independent feature films, documentary and fiction, is not the same as, for example, a short film you might make for Al Jazeera or BBC. It's very different in style. I don't know if you know, I'm trying to think of some films you might know that. Do you know the film Honeyland? Give me some documentaries that you've watched. Tell me, what documentaries have you watched? Exactly, right? CNN. These are all, a lot of these documentaries, Discovery. I mean, Disney has some, Discovery, Disney has, they have some feature documentaries, but what we're looking to build is a story that is poetic, that will reach people in their gut. Because if people don't feel highly emotive from watching something, and sometimes if that's not made in a narrative way, it can be very difficult to... It's not the same as making a 15-minute, 30-minute, 60-minute slot for TV. I'm looking for films that can sit in a theatre, that when you watch it on a big screen, your heart is pumping. Whatever that pumping is, anger, frustration, happiness.
But of course, it's always good.
Sorry?
The writing.
The writing is everything. In documentary and in fiction, it is not just... people always think that in documentary it has to be like, hi, my name is Danielle and I'm right here, right now, at the flood. No, that's not... We have evidence, we have evidence that this content is not being watched anymore by anybody. Maybe someone flips a channel and watches it for 10 minutes. But one documentary I worked on called The Territory, I don't know if you know it, it's about the indigenous tribe in the Uruguay-Wawau territory in Brazil. And when they came to us, the tribe, I live and work in Brussels. I know I'm not a member of the indigenous Uruguay-Wawau tribe. But they said, you know what, we're going to go into every cinema with this film, and we're going to say to all the audience like this, it's your fault, you're buying soy in the supermarket. I was like, hang on a second. We're going to go into a theatre and blame individual people for what they have bought in a supermarket. This campaign won't go global. Because as soon as someone feels responsible just themselves for doing something, they just become very nervous and they go, oh well, I'm not going to go to another screening because I'm to blame. How do you create community engagement? So I sat with the community and I said, okay, look, I'm going to tell you something. In Brussels, there's a legislation that's coming. And people say, well, what does it matter if you do something in Brussels and the EU? Well, we live in a globalized world. What does a globalized world mean? It means what happens in Nigeria affects Europe. What happens in China affects Europe. What happens in Europe affects Kenya. It is not that we are now living without borders. We are living in a kind of global trading community. And if we don't understand that we're all influencing each other, politics is universal. So I said, okay, let's run a different campaign. Currently, this law is talking about products that get bought by supermarkets into all of the supply chains in Europe. The biggest ones, Carrefour, Sainsbury's, think of all the big supermarkets. And I said, is it my fault that in the supermarket it's not possible to buy a product that is not from a deforested piece of land? And we should be making them responsible. We should change the law. We are living in an age where we believe laws cannot be changed, and I think that's a lie. We made them, we break them, we change them. We are people, we can do them. And so we made a campaign where the indigenous people would be included in a European law, and they passed it. And now all products from the Amazon, from deforestation areas into Europe are banned. That's a real thing. That means if you are doing it, if you're a supermarket chain, you will be held accountable. You will be paying fines, maybe going to court of justice. That's a real thing. And we all tried together. We sat there, me and the community, they said, I cannot believe this. You made a difference for us in our community.
So what about us, we've identified that Libya or Southern Africa is one of the most impacted areas when it comes to climate change.
To climate change, yes.
So we have people in Mozambique, we have people in DRC, and we also have South Africa, only parts of the experience of not so to do these things. So what ways do you think we can approach, because we want to make a document way like we want our voice to be heard through that, and we want many people to understand what is going on, because as much as we have been reporting, people feel like they are not aware of what is going on.
Yeah.
It's like they don't know. So you are in the industry, you know how to build stories and narratives. What should we do to make sure that these people are heard, and also to make sure that we advocate for their voices?
Yeah.
The whole idea that we wanted to do is to make sure their voices are heard.
Yes.
We have people who are being used each and every day to mine cobalt,
Yes.
to mine lithium,
Yeah.
all this. We have the situation of just transition where these big companies are now coming to countries
Yeah.
to mine more of
Yeah.
lithium, mine more of this. So it's like they're trying to solve the problem.
Yeah.
So and create
I would ask you to think, what is the strongest way virally that you can reach the people in those countries? Is it via text message? Is it via YouTube videos? Is it maybe Netflix has just decided to have a new streaming platform in that region? Is it by writing to them and getting a lab together so that they make 5 films that go across the region that also go global? If you are trying to go from village to village, you have to have a strategy where you can do that in a way that is fast and furious. Is it music? Is it by building a concert of 10 artists across the region that don't just rap about women and relationships, that rap about climate and deep issues? You have to popularize this issue. I think what I know, and I'm an outsider. I'm an outsider. I don't live in your region, right? All I can say from my experience, I worked with 10 artists in Burkina Faso on radicalization, counter-radicalization, because it was one of the most, people were walking hand in hand, Muslim and Christians, they were working in their community so peacefully until the politicization of those groups during elections, and it was becoming violent, it was becoming stressful in the community. And artists, some of the famous artists in Burkina Faso, comedians, presenters, they actually were able to bring some of the some of those communities back together, to stop them separating and dividing through music, through a festival, through concerts. And I see already what I know that some of the work that's happening in Climate Live is exactly that. But it's a strategic decision. I don't know if you know, maybe I shouldn't talk about this, but there's a great film coming out from National Geographic right now, Bobby Wine, This is a man who was a musician who became an active politician. I'm not saying that every artist needs to, or filmmaker needs to become a politician, right? But the power that you have to convince politicians and politics to change their ways by really using art in a way, because that reaches people. Art always has a following. If you're an artist, if you just paint walls every week somewhere, that creates a movement. Yeah?
But
Art creates movements.
So for him, it wasn't. He didn't like wake up one day and then switch up like, yo, I'm done with music. I'm now a politician. He's always been. That has always been his thing. Like, because I'm from Uganda, and I grew up like he lived like right there.
Yeah.
And he's been speaking about this in his music for
Yeah.
years, like since he was a kid. It's only now that people are getting to know about all
Yeah,
him.
wonderful. You know why? Because National Geographic made a film about him and turned this into a universal campaign where they took him to more than 20 countries. And what I'm telling you is if we can get these films to big streamers like National Geographic and not just, one national channel, TV1, France, nice. But what is one community, one national television station? Yeah. But how he did it first was by writing music that was meaningful, right? And I'm gonna hesitate to say this, yeah. Fighting for something should also be a celebration. I cannot feel anymore that we should be depressed for fighting. Fighting is, if we are fighting, we're free to fight. Sometimes we're at risk, yes. But if we're already doing it and we have a community, that is a success. And maybe I shouldn't do this, but my mum always says you should kill people with kindness. Yeah? Celebration, the kindness of love and celebration in a fight is the biggest war weapon you could use, because people are afraid of those who are fearless, and fearless means joy. And I think that is actually what I see in Bobby Wine when I watch that film. I see that despite everything, him and his wife, they're joking all the time. Of course she's scared, of course she worries, But that, if I hesitate to say what can come from your region, that doesn't really exist, at least in Europe these days in the same way, is that joy. When I watch films from this part of the world, especially South America, Africa, West Africa, North Africa, I see incredible resilience, but not depression. I see incredible ideas. In fact, your part of the world has more chance to survive a climate crisis because infrastructure is not so rigid, right? I see the future for me is in your part of the world. That's where I see the future. So that must mean you have to imagine that and visualize it for your audience. In fact, I have a series coming. It's called Beyond Day Zero, and it's filmed in South Africa, in Brazil, in Australia, and in Germany, because there was, I don't know if you know Day Beyond Zero, but there was one day that happened in these places where we reached a point of drought, like we're not going to get water in these regions. In South Africa, it was a real thing. It happened. People had no water anywhere, and it was a big crisis for 2 weeks. And the South African government had to react and provide, instead of vans with weapons, they were providing vans with water, and people started to create tribes of almost violence around drinking water. So you think, why am I not making a documentary? I'm not. I'm making a fictional series. And in that fictional series is a love affair. Because I know that if I make something a little bit more mainstream about this issue and have 4 different locations, then maybe those people will stop believing that this story is only for them. That my fight is not your fight.
For example,
I can't hear you, so it's going to help me.
okay, so I don't know, just a suggestion.
Yeah.
Like, let's say you see, as Climate Live, we literally use music as a way to influence people, to reach out to people. I think like what you're saying about the story of Bob Wine from Uganda.
Yeah.
So let's say, is there a way, let's say as Climate Live, we can, let's say, have a film
that is because like as much as we know that you want to influence as many people as possible, but I also understand some people love filming, some people love music, so
Yeah.
it's different. So let's say, is there a way that you think is climate life? Let's say we can have a movie, right, that can impact a lot of people through having concert with big artists, reaching out to different people and stuff. Do you think, how do you feel about that? It's just an idea.
It's a great idea, but we have to be honest about the business we're in. Like, I started Think Film from nothing. Let me tell you, I grew up on a council estate. I don't know if you know what that means. A council estate is a bit like a slum, right? In the UK. It's very non-comparable because it's different geography. Yeah? My mum is not a politician, my father is not a politician, nobody in my family is in film. I have always been determined to come out of that and to prove that people from my community have ideas. Yeah? But you have to fight, right? And what does a film look like? Got into the business and I realized I need a good name, I need a top director, I need a good executive producer. Let's face it, I need money. You want to make a good movie? You need some good funds behind it, right? But most importantly, you need some ambassadors. Your film can be really grassroots, right? But the people representing your film need to be high-level influencers. I'm not just saying politicians, I mean academics, artists, influencers. Everybody is sharing 1 minute of a concert that Climate Live is doing, and then you get people being more interested into maybe one artist. How does film work? I need to follow one story. I need to feel like I see their weakness, their vulnerabilities, their successes, their failures. If I can see that, I think there will be success. But for us, in the film business I'm in, is not TV reporting. I'm looking for content that is made in storytelling, making films that are artistic, having metaphors, having things that can reach all communities. Let me just give you an example. I just came here from Kazakhstan. People said, why do people care about films from Kazakhstan? I said, are you not humans that have some of the same problems as we do? Yes, there were films about climate change, films about domestic violence, films about challenging governments, films about oppression. I said, just because you're from Kazakhstan doesn't mean this film is not interesting. One person was deciding to create a metaphor of a child in a cage, a caged bird, to explain climate migration. That's a story. They were using animation to bring something to life that every audience in a community can visualize. We have to start making stories that are local, universal. So not going, no, that's not a film for the international market. Make it a film. You have some great film festivals as well in, Durban. I can't think of all of them right now. Nigeria. There's so many that bring out some of the best films. We have an impact lab at Cannes Film Festival, and if Climate Live had 10 filmmakers they wanted to bring to Cannes, call me. I'm ready. We'll bring you all to Cannes. You can pitch your films. It's the real way. The real way is to have good stories that people want to buy.
I learned something business school.
Yes.
It was local content, global packaging. Yeah, it's like say I don't know if you listen to Nigerian music.
I do.
Yeah, what they make is very original, but it's world standard stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Exactly. It is, but what I think the music business is not doing, and I'd love the Nigerian music business to take this seriously, is to run a lab. You have a lab with artists, some of your best artists, right, in the region, and you get them to release a song that's related to climate. Why is all the mainstream commercial songs only about love and hate and violence and great, but why not climate? Is that not sexy? I don't understand. I think it can be, right? If you package it right, you don't go, this is a climate song. This is my song about a personal journey to find an epiphany. Wow, straight, buying it. I don't need everything to say this is climate, this is climate. I think that's why we are having disengaged audiences. Because we keep saying this is climate, this is climate, this is environment. And in the world of entertainment, we know that doesn't work, When we make a film, like let's just mention a Hollywood film like The Day After Tomorrow, right? If we say that film is about an apocalyptic end of the planet, no, we say this is a live action thriller. Yeah? It's the same concept, like you said. It really is the packaging. So I don't want to be a cynic. I'm in this business because I want to change the world, and that sounds like a Miss Universe quote. But it really is. Think Film has changed many things. We've changed 7 laws, so it is possible. But we've only been able to do that with films that go global. If your film doesn't have a global capacity, we cannot run a campaign that will influence people. Yeah? Influencing people is about making sure they feel that when they've watched a film, their heart breaks, or is angry, or is actually completely shocked. Shock is a great factor. You're like, whoa, I didn't know that was going on. What am I going to do about it? You need an audience to feel interactive, you know? And that's the films we choose at Think Film, and it is selective. I cannot sit here and say I'm taking every film that comes into what we do, you know? We have like a recipe of success with our campaigns. But of course we engage with youth activists and all different climate relevant organizations with our content, you know? So I would say, I just believe that impact is good, but it has to be commercially viable, especially in the film business, you know, and music business. I feel like I've said a lot. I don't know if you have any more questions, but you've kept me feeling loved, so I appreciate it. Thank you for staying here. Yeah, of course. Yes. Yeah. I have a film in Somalia right now about Samia Yusuf Ahmad. Do you know her? She was the Somalian young woman who ran for the Olympics in Somalia. And she took off her veil, and because she took off her veil, she was deemed a terrorist. And then she tried to leave to go to Italy, and she died at sea, taking the migration route out of her country. So, out of Somalia. And so, a film like that is it can also be a climate migration story. You see?
Yeah, like it should be more simple.
Yeah.
I think it's up to you to make them understand.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Because everyone has a different way of understanding. And then it's up to you to tell the story in a way that can reach.
Exactly. So that's
You know what a great success would be in the Global South? If every African nation came together in a global co-production on climate. Oh, look at your face! Look at that
okay,
face!
so here, let's talk about
Okay.
I'm not
Yeah. Sorry, where? Sorry, maybe it's me. Where? Where's the first place? I don't think it needs to be a first place. It just needs to be everybody starts doing it at the end.
The reason why I'm
Yeah.
if he were to say that the whole Europe from today, I'm going to use anything that is doesn't mean anything that
Yeah, we're not ready. But that's on
you
purpose
guys can
because.
survive for something.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean in Europe?
In Europe,
Okay.
but you think that's
No, I know that's not true because in Belgium they go, okay, you're not allowed to use diesel cars by I think it was 2027. But of course, all the cars are being sent to the global south. I know that. Yeah, of
so
course.
I'm thinking like I've been
Yeah.
this great green fund, but when
So what is
They are not provided.
let me ask you a challenging question. What is the one thing that is connecting all those dots? Why is it not happening in the global south? Can you tell me?
because
It's not quite that tell me what it is. You can tell me, you live there, you know better than me.
I think all that.
Why don't you have winter? Where are you from?
I'm from Botswana.
Botswana. In Botswana, why don't you have wind turbines? And why don't you have in initiatives around electric. Tell me why. You don't have electric? Do you have electricity? By? Yes, and who's allowing it? Oh, thank you very much. The people leading your country are allowing because they only want that they are building relationships and trade for that reason. So if your government is making deals with whichever country to stop your nation, the issue that is stopping it is corruption. Yeah?
That's what because even
We tell my side of the story, we always go, right, you need to stop making these deals. You don't make deals in the global south about fossil fuels, right? That's our job on our side. And on your side, I'm going to tell you the risk is high because you have to start telling your governments, look, you're kind of making deals that don't represent what we want, you know, and it's hard, you know. Yes. That's why you need a production of film.
It's not connected.
Yeah, but you need to get, okay, let's get 10 countries, give me 10 top directors, meetings. They don't have to make the film. You just need to be the ones endorsing it, being like the champions. You and you make the film, right? Together. And then they are championing it so that you're protected. You need layers because you don't go out on an issue just to look after yourself. Do you know what I mean? Right, yeah, I think the government is corrupt. Next thing we know, you're in prison, you know? That you need to create a system of protection across many territories and have big names that are powerful to endorse you. And then the young talent can make the films. That's how you do it. The way it's worked for me, I worked on, I don't know if you know, I worked on Navalny. Do you know Navalny was the Russian opposition leader who was poisoned by Putin. Do you think I wasn't looking everywhere I go that these people were hunting me down? Won the Oscar, but they were following me, watching me, because I was talking about one of Putin's enemies.